The French Revolution, a shining light of hope, a dark symbol of tyranny, a confusing puzzle etched in history. It promised freedom, fairness, and brotherhood, but it brought bloodshed, chaos, and fear. How did a movement that started with the dream of freedom turn into a whirlpool of violence? This is the story of the French Revolution, a complicated story woven with threads of hope and cruelty. The year 1789 was a huge turning point in the history of the world. The storming of the Bastille, a symbol of the king's power, started a revolution that would change France and the world forever. But the road to a new world would be covered in the blood of thousands. This was a time when big ideas crashed into reality, when the search for freedom got tangled up with the tools of terror. The French Revolution makes us face uncomfortable truths about what it means to be human. It reminds us that the road to progress is rarely smooth or peaceful. And it makes us think about this important question: can we ever truly be free without sacrifice? To understand the French Revolution, we need to go back to the bubbling pot of anger that was France before the Revolution. Imagine a society split in two, where the rich and powerful ruled and everyone else suffered. This was France in the late 1700s, a nation about to fall into a deep hole. At the top of this system was the king, Louis XVI, an all-powerful ruler who believed God gave him the right to rule. Below him were the first and second estates, the church leaders and the nobles. They didn't pay most taxes and had lots of special rights, living in a world of luxury and parties. The third estate, everyone else from poor farmers to rich merchants, carried the heavy weight of taxes and unfairness. They worked hard on the land in workshops and kept the country's economy going, but they had little power and even less hope for a better life. This bubbling anger, fueled by hard times and inspired by new ideas about freedom, would soon explode like a volcano. The 1700s saw the rise of the Enlightenment, a new way of thinking that spread across Europe, challenging old ideas about power and reason. Thinkers like Locke, Montesquieu, and Rousseau imagined a world where everyone had natural rights, where governments got their power from the people they ruled. These radical ideas, spread through meetings and pamphlets, found their way into the minds of the French people, planting the seeds of rebellion. These ideas gave the Third Estate a way to talk about their complaints. They started to question a system that treated them like property instead of citizens. The Enlightenment didn't cause the French Revolution, but it provided the fuel. It lit the fire of discontent, turning abstract ideas of liberty and equality into real demands for change. The French people, inspired by the promise of a better world, were no longer willing to wear the chains of an old and unfair system. The stage was set for revolution. In 1789, with France almost out of money, King Louis XVI, pushed by his advisors, reluctantly agreed to call a meeting of the Estates General. This assembly, made up of representatives from all three estates, hadn't met for over 175 years. It wasn't a solution, but the spark that started the revolution. The Third Estate, full of complaints and encouraged by new ideas of freedom, arrived at Versailles determined to be heard. They didn't just want lower taxes, they wanted a complete change in French society. They argued that they, representing most of the population, should have more power and a say in how they were governed. But the First and Second Estates, holding on to their privileges, fought against any real change. The standstill between the estates, fueled by passionate speeches and rising tension, reached a breaking point. The Third Estate, in a brave move, declared themselves the National Assembly, claiming to represent the true will of the French people. This act of defiance broke the fragile political order, starting a chain of events that would change history forever. The air in Paris in July 1789 crackled with tension. Rumors of the king's soldiers gathering outside the city, along with high bread prices and widespread fear, created a powder keg ready to explode. On July 14th, a date forever remembered in history, this unrest turned into open revolt. The Bastille, a strong medieval fortress, loomed over Paris, a symbol of the king's power and oppression. Although it held only a few prisoners, it represented the unchecked power of the monarchy. On that fateful day, a huge crowd, driven by anger and desperation, stormed the Bastille, taking control of the fortress and killing its governor. The fall of the Bastille shocked France and Europe. It was a clear display of the people's power, a symbolic victory against tyranny that echoed far beyond Paris. The unthinkable had happened. The people had risen up against their rulers. This huge event marked a turning point in the revolution, bringing in a new era of public involvement and political upheaval. The early years of the French Revolution were full of hope and optimism. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, adopted in August 1789, declared the basic rights of all men, setting down the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. But this hopeful time would be tragically short. As the revolution went on, it became more and more extreme. Internal fighting, fueled by paranoia and fear, led to a time of intense political repression known as the Reign of Terror. The Committee of Public Safety, led by figures like Maximilien Robespierre, took control, unleashing a wave of violence and bloodshed. Thousands of people, seen as enemies of the revolution, were sent to the guillotine. The streets of Paris flowed with blood as the revolution, in its eagerness to create a new and fair society, destroyed its own people. This time of terror, though short, left a permanent stain on the legacy of the revolution, a harsh reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and fanaticism. The French Revolution wasn't just a French event. Its impact spread far beyond France's borders. It sparked revolutionary passion across Europe and inspired freedom movements in Latin America. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, once just ideas discussed by philosophers, became rallying cries for oppressed people everywhere. However, the revolution's legacy is complicated. While it fought for the rights of man, it also showed the hypocrisy of French colonialism. The revolution's ideals of liberty and equality didn't at first apply to France's overseas territories, where slavery continued. Ironically, the revolution's message of freedom sparked slave revolts in the French colonies, especially in Haiti. This Caribbean island, fueled by the revolutionary spirit, would become the first black republic in the world, a testament to the lasting power of the revolution's ideals, even when contradicted by the actions of its leaders. The French Revolution, like all revolutions, was a messy, complicated, and ultimately unfinished event. It left behind a legacy of deep contradictions, a story woven with threads of both progress and terror. It overthrew a monarchy, established the principles of popular sovereignty, and spread the ideals of liberty and equality around the world. Yet it also descended into a whirlpool of violence, unleashed the horrors of the terror, and failed to fully achieve its own high ideals. It's a stark reminder that the road to progress is rarely straight or peaceful, that revolutions, while often needed, are full of danger and unintended consequences. The French Revolution continues to fascinate and inspire, to provoke debate and controversy. It serves as a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom is an ongoing process, one that requires constant vigilance and a willingness to confront the complexities of human nature. The French Revolution stands as a crucial moment in human history. It marks the change from the age of absolute rulers to the era of democracy, from a world ruled by divine right to one shaped by the will of the people. But it also asks a fundamental question that continues to echo today. Was it a necessary evil? Could France have changed to a fairer and more equal society without the bloodshed and chaos of the revolution? Or was such a radical break with the past unavoidable? There are no easy answers, no simple stories. The French Revolution, like all historical events, resists easy explanations. It is a story of both triumph and tragedy, of idealism and brutality, of hope and despair. It is a reminder that the pursuit of freedom is a dangerous journey, one that requires both courage and sacrifice. And it leaves us wrestling with the enduring question, what price are we willing to pay for liberty?